And we're now on a very narrow and windy Harrington Mills Road on our way to visit with Randy and Denessa Harper and Karen Frickey at Frickey Farms. So we should be here in just a minute. Again, can't get over the snow down here in Shelbyville. I don't think they're used to this kind of winter for sure. Hello again, folks. Bill Keith here in the beautiful show barn here at Frickey Farms on Harrington Mills Road in Shelbyville, Kentucky with Randy and Denessa Harper. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me. Really appreciate it. You folks that are viewers to the YouTube series will recognize a lot of the videos I've put up. You've seen Randy Harper himself showing Heartland Expectation, and most recently you've seen him showing Mark of Success, winning the World Grand Championship for harness ponies back in 1990. You've also had the chance to see other ponies Randy has trained like Brass Lass, Tijuana Starlet, and of course Fancy Ribbons. Now, we know a lot about your recent history, Randy. I want to go back a little bit because, like I said to Tom Lowry this morning, I know a little bit about a lot of people, but I don't know a lot about some people. Yeah. So I want to kind of go back a little bit. I was telling Denessa that my earliest recollections of you folks, because I kind of came to the Hackney game a bit late, was watching videos from the late 90s when you were with Cavinos. And you had Sir Talmadge and Right On. So let's go back right to the start. Randy Harper is originally from where?
I'm originally from Zanesville, Ohio.
Okay. Did you grow up in a horse family?
No, actually, well, yes and no. My father trained horses, but that was the extent of it.
Right.
He trained Morgan horses, and that's kind of where I started, you know.
Denessa originally from?
Roanoke, Virginia.
Okay. And from a horse family, yes or no? Or?
Nope.
Not really?
No, my father had a friend that had horses. I got to ride some really nice horses, but the rest of my family wasn't real horsey.
Right. So now, what started the interest specifically in hackneys and saddlebreds for you, Randy?
Well, I had ponies when I lived at home with my parents, and I showed prey ponies originally. Started with prey ponies, and I always kind of liked the hackney pony, you know, this challenge.
Right. And now, did that then spiral into the saddlebreds eventually, or?
Yeah, actually, yeah, because I went to work for, originally went to work for Jack Nevitt at Northridge Farm.
Okay.
And of course, they were all saddlebreds, and we had one row pony there called Hollyhock. She was world grand champion, but the majority of everything was saddlebreds, and it just carried over.
Well, that answered the question I was going to ask, who you worked for, because a lot of you established trainers obviously apprentice somewhere.
Yeah.
It's very rare you hear somebody that just kind of picked it up and did well at it. So obviously you're apprentice. Now, is Jack Nevitt the only person you worked for over the years?
No, actually I've worked for 3 horse trainers. Actually 4. I worked for Jack first, then I worked for Don Brockman for about a year. And I was actually worked for Mike Felty a little bit, and then I worked for Bill Wise for a long time.
Okay. And Denessa, you, where did your hackney / saddlebred interest come in? Was this before Randy, or?
Yeah. It was all my doing. I had my own barn, and I had horses, saddle horses, and ponies for my nieces that I used to take. They actually were more Welsh. Little pleasure ponies I used to take to the horse shows for them, and did my own saddle horses. And then I met him when he was working over at Bent Tree Farm.
Right. Okay. Right. That was another.
I forgot that. I worked for Glenn Lanning at Bent Tree Farm.
Yes, you did.
That answered the question I was going to ask. Where the two of you met? So you met when Randy was at Bent Tree Farm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love at first sight.
Yeah.
That's excellent. So skip ahead here. Favorite pony that you have had over the years? You would say you've had so many greats. I mean, incredible show strings. Is there one that stands out? Either it was the best pony you've ever had, or just one you really enjoyed working? Because sometimes they're not always the same thing.
True. You know, I've been fortunate. I've had 20 or 30 great ponies, but I guess my 2 all-time favorite ponies is Tijuana Starlet and Hazard County.
Yeah, and that's funny. I mean, you just named 2 of my all-time favorites. In fact, when you watch the YouTube series, I usually do a preamble introducing the tapes to the people, what they're going to see. And I remember very distinctly, I say, you folks are about to see my all-time favorite hackney pony, and that's Tijuana Starlet. Hazard County, he was just so cool.
Right. They was the most uncomplicated ponies I ever worked in my life. It was the same thing every day. Yeah. Every day.
I hear horse trainers say that. They talk about their horses and their ponies, and they're the same every day, whether they're at a horse show or whether they're at home, they work the same. And I find that very interesting. Show horses especially, do you not find that at a horse show they bloom a little bit more though, like they kind of click, they know where they're at?
Right,
Yeah.
right. You know, it's funny, people perceive that some of the ponies that you win several World Grand Championships with are your favorite ponies as a horse trainer, but that's actually not necessarily true, because we're with them all day, we live with them, we work them, we know their personalities, and it's like expectation. He is exactly the same every day. You bring him out, he gives you 110%, you put him away, he goes to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, and those ponies like that are, you fall in love with. So.
Now, is there one that you've had over the years you're maybe a little more proud of than others? Like you've been fortunate to take on show strings that maybe have already been established or have been working. Is there one that you developed from the ground up that you look at and say, hey, I made that one?
I'd have to say probably, I've got several, but I'm going to have to say Fancy Ribbons.
Yeah.
She was difficult.
Right.
Ed bought her as a weanling, and I think, you know, Fancy Ribbons will go down in history as one of the all-time great cocktail ponies. And you know, I was fortunate enough to start her and finish her and sell her to the Wheelers, and you know, I won with her, and they won with her. Everybody that owned her won with her.
Beautiful
you know?
mare, yeah. She won in Toronto up at our horse show for sure.
Yeah, so.
So Denessa, for you, favorite hackney pony of all time that you've either had a chance to work with or sit behind? Any that stand out for you?
Actually, classical dancer.
Okay.
Ed's mare.
Just something special about her? Or?
She was very difficult.
Right. Is that the one that Kathy Buente now owns? Yeah,
Yeah.
very game.
Yeah.
Very game.
We see that sometimes.
Right.
Very difficult,
Yeah.
and I got her when she was having troubles, and kind of turned her around and took her to Louisville, and Ed won with her, and we were really proud of her.
Here's a question I asked Tom Lowry when I was over at Golden Creek. Is there a pony that you haven't had over the years that you had looked at from afar and thought, man, would I ever love to have that one in my barn? Is there anyone that you didn't have that you kind of would like to have?
Yeah, there is.
Who's that?
There's one pony that I just, Free Willy. I wanted him so bad. And was first in line several times to buy him.
Yeah.
And they sold him out from under me. So, you know, it's just the way it is.
Great pony.
Guess I wasn't supposed to have him.
Yeah. Before we wrap this up, here's my recollection of you. This is interesting because I've got all the review tapes from Richfield Video back in the day. And Mary Kirkman did an interview with you when you were still in Lafayette, Indiana. And the one thing that she referred to, she said, you know, a lot of people look at Randy Harper and they think he's cocky or he's arrogant or this or that, and how do you respond to that? You answered that question. And I'm going to be honest, right now on film, as a young man coming up, you know, through the pony game and watching from afar, I thought to myself, God, that Harper, he's sure confident, man. And you were intimidating. And so from a distance, I thought, yeah, that guy, he knows what he's all about. But you know what? One of the things I'll always remember most about you, 2009 Louisville, in the warm-up ring for the Harness Pony Grand Championship. There were 10 of us out there. It was a big class that year. And I was parked ready to go in, and I was a really small fish in a big pond, but I was really happy to be there. It's kind of like the Academy Award nominee, just happy to be there.
Yeah.
And we were parked ready to go in. Karen was sitting there ready to go in. And I was surrounded by horse people I've known my whole life, and nobody's really kind of looking my direction. And you looked right at me, and you wished good luck to me.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really appreciate, and I tell people all the time. And I really appreciate that. It meant a lot to me, and I tell people all the time, and I really appreciate that.
I'm probably the most misunderstood person in the world. I mean, the only probably one that doesn't is Denessa and Karen, and you know, I think you have to be confident, and maybe sometimes confidence comes over as arrogance or whatever, but you know, I always believe in helping people and congratulating people. You know, if I get beat, you know, I'm the first one there to congratulate you.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
I like what you said. You said, I'm going to the warm-up ring to beat you. I'm not letting you go there to beat me.
No.
And that's a great attitude to have. It's like I've told people myself, anytime you are showing, I don't think anybody goes to the show ring thinking, geez, I hope I'm second. I hope I'm third.
Right.
And like I've told my own wife and people that I show against, I'm going to the ring thinking and hoping to win.
Yeah.
And if I don't win, I'll deal with it.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. You know, when you go to compete against somebody else, you want to win. You want to beat those people, whether they're your friends or your enemies. That doesn't mean I don't mean enemies, but maybe not close friends or something.
You're competitors.
That doesn't mean that you have to be arrogant or whatever. It just means that, you know, you want to win too. And when I go to the makeup ring, I always tell Karen, Karen, go there to win. I always tell Denessa, go there to win. You know,
one thing that was really important to me was Karen's niece, Lauren. I get a little emotional over her. She won with Razzle Dazzle Me. She won with Catch Me If You Can. And she always said, I'm going in the ring acting like him. Because I would say, you got to win, Lauren. You got to go in there thinking you can win. If you don't win, if you gave it all you have, you won.
Oh,
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Do 100%. Do 100%. And then where the chips fall, they fall. You know.
And that's the same way growing up. I mean, I'm from a small town in Canada. We've had 1 or 2 ponies over the years. And we learned by watching a lot of videos of people like you and Jeff McLean and Gib Marcusi and all the great Terry McKenzie, and try to mimic those people. Look at what they do. Look what they do with their hands. Look how they how they hold themselves. And that's the way we've always gone about it. So
it's like Gib and Bill Robinson and John Shea and all those guys are close friends of mine. They're all close friends of mine. And I watched them and watched them and watched them over 25 years of watching them. And you know, not one of those guys ever went to the horse show ring thinking he was beat. Not one of them. Not one single person, you know. And I had to laugh. Tom Lowry kind of made me feel old. A year or 2 ago, he said, you know, we were drinking at Stone Inn and we were sitting there and we were both a little buzzed. He said, you know, he said, my whole goal in life is to beat you. And I thought, you know, that was my goal in life, you know. And I'm glad you think that, you know. Yeah,
it's a very goal-oriented industry, obviously. And I think that's what you have to do. And that's, for myself, that's the whole thing. You got to set a goal and try and accomplish it. And if you do happen to accomplish it, then set a new goal. So that's actually a question I don't have written down, but it kind of segues into a good one. You're a man who's won World Grand Championships in every division in the pony division. You've won the 3-gated championship on one of the greatest walk trots in history, one for the road. When you accomplish a goal like that, how do you go to the barn and say, okay, it's time to regroup? What do you do next? What is in your mind to say, what do I do now? I just won the biggest class of my life. Where do I go from here? It's not the old, I'm going to Disneyland. You know, what do you do from there?
Well, you know, I don't dwell on how many World Grand Championships I won because they're done. They're over. So you have to start thinking of next year, how you can improve yourself. Or do you really need to improve yourself? Or if you improve yourself, will you make yourself worse? So those are things you have to look at as a horse trainer. And I've never dwelled on winning a World Grand Championship, like one for the road. You know, I tried to maintain him. I've tried to maintain all the ponies that I've won with, she's won with, Karen's won with. I've always tried to keep what I have until I see somebody that's got something better. And then I'm thinking, okay, I've been sitting on my laurels. I need to step up a little bit, you know. And that's kind of the way you have to, that's the way I look at it. You know.
It's interesting. I've read some horse trainers over the years who have said that there's maybe too much emphasis put on Louisville, too much emphasis put on the World Championships. Would you agree with that statement? I mean, it's not the be-all, end-all. It is the World Grand Championship. If you're going to advertise, I mean, nothing looks more impressive than World Grand Champion. Is there too much emphasis on Louisville, though?
I would not have said yes 20 years ago, but I will say yes today because I've been there and done it. I think a lot of people nowadays live and die for Louisville. And that's a good and a bad thing. But there's other horse shows out there, and life doesn't start or end at Louisville. It starts way before that, and it ends way after Louisville. Louisville's just another week. So, you know, you learn to go to Louisville, and you try to do everything you can for your customers and your owners, make it comfortable for them, do the best job you can do, and you go home, and you know what, Sunday morning I'm going to have breakfast somewhere else. So
I tell people back home, because I've had the pleasure of showing there now 3 times. I'm hoping to come back again this year and show. And there's some people that live for the fall fair circuit, county fair circuit. They're very content with that. I tell people that, in my estimation, if you're into saddlebreds or if you're into hackneys or road horses, if you don't show at Louisville at least once, you've really missed out on something. And,
True.
And it's spoiling. The one thing I would say is the first time we showed there was in '93. And when you come out of the Freedom Hall off the green shavings and the bright lights and the air conditioning and that organ music, it spoils you. And it almost makes it difficult to go to a small fair anymore. But, you know, we keep on going.
Yeah, so. It does. But you know what? Louisville's, you know, is the greatest horse show we have, per se. And, but, you know, I have just as much fun at these county fairs showing at Rock Creek, you know, Harrisburg, Shelbyville, all these county fairs around here. It's just as gratifying to win there as it is at Louisville.
So we'll wrap it up with this now. Tonight, of course, the limited breeder sweepstakes, stallion auction. Frickey Farms offering Benjamin Buttons for the first time. What can you tell us about Benjamin Buttons? He's a Dunhaven celebrity son, from what I understand. Have you bred with him before? Is this be his first year? Or?
This is it. Will be his first full year of breeding.
Okay.
Karen raised him as a baby. We bred him and raised him, and showed him as a 3-year-old, and he got hurt as a 3-year-old after Louisville, and we just could never really, what you say, bring him back 100%. Right. And he was so talented and he's so pretty that we decided, well, let's just retire him instead of trying to, you know, do something that we know we can't achieve because of the circumstances. And he's just absolutely a beautiful pony.
So this will be his first breeding year then?
Yeah.
And he's retired from showing?
Right, he's retired. He's out in the field. And of course, his daddy's celebrity. He's older now. Yeah. So we're going to replace him with Benjamin Button. And
so you have celebrity here this
yes, celebrity's still here.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, he's still here.
Be interesting to see how he sells tonight, and I'm sure it's going to be a great auction. So Randy and Denessa Harper, thank you so much for speaking to me. I really appreciate it. And for you folks on the YouTube series, be sure to check out all the videos I put up so far. I believe I put on Mark of Success with Randy about 2 weeks ago, winning at Louisville in 1990 when he took on Vindicator, at the time being trained and shown by Terry McKenzie. So enjoy the auction tonight, and we'll see you there. Take care. Okay, so we're now in the beautiful indoor work ring here at Frickey Farms, and we've got Karen Frickey with us now. Karen, tell us a little bit about this beautiful farm that you built. Like, you did start out, I don't know if you started out, but you were originally in Lafayette, Indiana. And when did you move here to Shelbyville?
We bought this farm in 2004.
Okay, and what was here when you bought the place? Was the barn here?
A crummy old barn and a house in need of repairs.
So what we're looking at now, and we'll take a quick look at the stabling, this is all you're doing. You built all this.
Right.
Wow, absolutely beautiful. And the arena, I'm told, is how big?
54 by 180.
And currently, actually, Denessa was telling me you've got, what, 20 some odd stalls here, Randy?
Stalls.
And every one of them is filled.
Every one is filled.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Then we took the house that was built in 1850 and completely redid it and added on to it. And it's really nice, really nice. We like it here. We built sheds and built a garage. It was a mess here. It had a little garage that was a block building, wasn't it, Randy?
Yeah.
And the roof was held on by a yellow rope.
Yeah.
We demolished that.
Yeah.
And we just started from scratch and said, hey, what do we want to see in a barn? And made some changes from what our barn was in Indiana. And it's a good working barn. We like it.
You built the place in Indiana, too, did you not, from the ground up? Yeah. So.
But Ed and I built that just for ourselves.
Right.
Back in the early 70s. And then we just kept adding on to it, adding on to it.
Well, maybe.
And then when we decided we'd have trainers, we just skinned the whole outside so it all matched. And hired Randy and Denessa in 1993, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's actually interesting, Randy, because one thing I spoke to Tom Lowry about this morning is the saddle horse industry, or horse industry in general. Horse trainers kind of bounce around here, there, and everywhere. It's almost like, don't pack your bags, you won't be here long. You've been with Frickey Farms now for how long?
Since 1993.
1993. And that's very rare. Like, it's very rare for...
I think this is our 23rd show season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously it's a great relationship.
Oh, we're family. She's like my sister.
That's great. So you sometimes fight like brother and sister?
Actually,
Yeah,
no.
not really, no.
I have sisters, so that's why I asked.
I'm going to tell you something. Karen, when she hired me, she said, I'm going to ask you to do one thing.
Don't make me
And
cry.
she said, don't make me cry.
Don't yell at
And
me.
in 23 years, I don't believe I've ever yelled at you. Have I?
No,
I've
not
been
really.
firm with you.
Firm, yeah.
But not, no,
He told me I was really wrong the one time at Lexington. Remember when I drove that one pony too fast?
Yeah.
And then at Expectation, when I drove him too fast, he said, didn't you realize you were going too fast and he was getting off? I said, no. And then after I came out of the ring, I said, yeah, I did. Yeah, I really did.
Now, do you have a personal thrill in the show ring yourself, Karen? Is there a pony or a horse you've shown? Like
You aren't going to believe this. But when you were talking about your dad a little bit ago, when we first sold Heartland Expectation, we took a pony in on trade. And he was a darling little pony.
Automatic.
Automatic. Had won the junior class at Louisville. And they weren't giving him real great ribbons, but we decided we'd go to Fall Classic this one year. And there were 5 ponies in the class, and it was one of those pink ribbon classes. And I turned to Denessa and I said, well, we're going to get pink ribbon all right. 5th. There's not a pony in here. The other 4 are all world champions at Louisville. And Expectation was in there, and he had just won Louisville. So Denessa said, just go in and drive. You'll just have a great time. So we went in and drove and had a great show and lined up, and Denessa she stayed on the rail and had Randy head the pony. And they were calling out the first place, and I noticed Randy's hooking up the overcheck. And I thought, well, man, he's really presumptuous. He thinks we're second. Randy said, second? Hell, you just won it. I mean, my mouth probably did hit the buggy. I couldn't believe it, and I looked over, and Denessa's crying and jumping up and down on the rail. Oh, my God. We came out of that with that pink ribbon and that blue ribbon, and it was like you just won the World Grand Championship at Louisville. I mean, wasn't that exciting?
Yes, it was.
So when you say you got him on trade, did he come from Andy and Linda at that point then?
Yeah.
And Chris Gantley have him at one time?
Yeah.
Chris
Okay.
won the 3-year-old class and 4-year-old class at Louisville.
He was a
3-or-4-year-old.
darling pony. We just loved him.
Well, I was in the ring against him in '09 recently when your brother showed him.
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So
yeah.
nice.
That
But
was
now
the first pony David ever owned.
right now where is that pony now? Is he still around?
Bill
or-
Waller bought him for some customers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they like him too.
Love him to death.
I mean, he's just a kind, wonderful, give-all pony.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real pretty, like all the Arthur B's are.
Yeah, you know, his biggest downfall is kind
Was
of
he
like
little?
me. He's small.
But mighty.
But see, great things come in little packages.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Just
There you
have
go.
to have the rest of the world realize
That's right.
that.
Exactly.
So we'll keep on rolling. We're just going to take a quick little look in the hallway here because this is really impressive that you built this from the ground up, obviously. So how many stalls along this shed row or this stretch
12.
right here? 12 along here. Now, Denessa was telling me you've got how many? 12 ponies or about 12 ponies or?
I think there's 11 ponies in the barn right now. aren't
And then
there?
Friesians and
And
saddlebreds?
2 Friesians and then saddlebreds.
Yeah. Now, I mentioned earlier, my earliest recollection of you, Randy, is working for the Cavinos in New Jersey. Where were you at that point? Where were you stabled when you worked for the Cavinos? Were you in New Jersey or
Yeah,
no?
we were in Ringo's, New Jersey.
Okay.
Worked
All right.
for Candy Avercenti. We have her as customers now.
I was just going to say, I said to Denessa earlier, you won the UPHA Horse of the Year with Calorama's Blue Mac.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
so-
yeah. Got him back.
So
Come
y-
full circle.
yeah. So obviously that's a relationship that you kept up over the years with the Cavinos.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, that's great. Well, best of luck to Frickey Farms this year, and thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.